theory that God has given us free will. That's one big theory. God has given us free will and God will not interfere with our choices. And it's our choices that lead to suffering. But even there, we have these dispositions which lead us to slip and make mistakes and commit error and evil. And what kind of a responsible parent is it who gives a loaded gun to a toddler? Free will, I will not interfere. Let the toddler do what it wants with the gun. The end will not be good. So why give us free will and a set of dispositions which almost all the time we tend to misuse that free will? And again, it does not explain suffering in the animal kingdom or even for helpless infants and children. So all these theories, one more theory which he considers very good, the professor. He says the law of karma, causation, cause and effect. Cause and effect. If we consider ourselves as conscious beings traveling from life to life and enjoying and suffering the results of our past karma, generating new karma and enjoying or suffering the results thereof. So we are building our own lives. Vivekananda says, there was never a blow that was undeserved. Unkind thing to say. But let's take responsibility for our own lives. A little more clever answer this time. This answer is, in fact, the professor says this is the best possible solution. He's got a whole chapter on the defects of the law of karma. Whole chapter. And he says, in spite of these defects, there's nothing else that comes close to the law of karma. Even then, it's not a perfect theory. Sri Ramakrishna was asked this. One of the questioners mentions the theory of Leela. Sri Ramakrishna says it is the Leela of God. Somebody asked Sri Ramakrishna, why is there so much suffering in the world if God exists? The same question. In the gospel you will find this question. And Sri Ramakrishna gives the answer which this young boy has given. That it is the Leela of God. It is the play of God. What can we do? And the devotee who asked this question did not take it well. His reply was, it may be the Leela of God, but it is death to us. In Bengali he said, Tar to Leela, Ramra Mori. It may be the divine play of God. It's play for God. It's death for us. Then Sri Ramakrishna gives the real reply. Now I'm coming to the real reply which I would like to give. When he says it's death to us, Sri Ramakrishna said just one little thing, after which there was no further question possible. Sri Ramakrishna said, death to us you say, but who are you? Do you know who you are? Meaning thereby, if you did investigate who you are, that's what Vedanta does. What would you find? You are one with God. The same God who manifests this universe is you yourself. What we sang, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, you are that. From that point of view, no evil touches you or anybody else. Think about it. Advaita says, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jiva Brahmeva Napara. Brahman, that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, infinite existence consciousness, is the only reality. The world of appearance and suffering is an appearance, it's false. Then what about me? Am I real or false? You are one with Brahman. You are real. You are real as Brahman. I'll ask you a question. The greatest of tragedies, the worst of things, worst of suffering, it's permissible in only one case. It's even enjoyable in one case. When? Think about it. When is the only time you would not be upset with suffering? When you would even say it's good, it's great. In a film, in art, in a story, in fiction, if it actually did not happen, in a dream, when you wake up from that and you say, oh, thank God it was a nightmare. If it actually did not happen, then you would not be outraged, isn't it? You might even enjoy it. You might even enjoy it. But only from a place of security, from a place of safety, where you are not being touched by that suffering. So the real answer is here. No clever theory will ever satisfy your question. You know, the question which you have, why is there suffering? I may give you the cleverest of theories. The good professor gives a law of karma, which is great. Even beyond the law of karma is the explanation given by Vedanta, Maya. That's an even better explanation, I think. Even that will not satisfy you. You know what will satisfy you? The answer to this question will be, you will get a satisfaction only when you transcend suffering. And the only way you will transcend suffering is by self-realization. By realizing that you are one with God. Moksha, nirvana, whatever you call it. The Upanishad says, Tarati Shokam Atmavit. The knower of the self, of Atman, transcends sorrow. The only thing that will satisfy you, which has satisfied anybody else in the world, is realization. Finding God, self-realization, enlightenment, whatever you call it. When I say transcends sorrow, goes beyond sorrow, it's not that the persons do not suffer. It's not that the person used to get a tummy ache earlier, now has become enlightened and doesn't get a tummy ache. The same thing might happen. It will continue. Sri Ramakrishna, he had a cancer in the throat, and the body actually passed away. The physical death was there because of the throat cancer, and the pain was also there. What is meant by transcending? Is enlightenment a painkiller? I'm suffering a lot, I can take, what is it, Tylenol? Or I can be enlightened, one of the two. Are they substitutes? No, they are not. Transcending means you are there, right there, and yet you are not touched by it. You experience it, and yet you see a dimension of yourself which is far beyond pain. A classic example, when Hari Maharaj comes to Sri Ramakrishna is suffering from cancer, throat cancer. A doctor told me one of the worst forms of cancer, terrible suffering. He's there, and Hari Maharaj asks him, Hari, he was a young boy at that time, later Swami Turiyananda, who was here in this center in fact. He was one of the early Swamis who stayed in this center, in the Vedanta Society. Sir, how are you today? And Sri Ramakrishna says, lot of pain, I can't eat. Pain in the throat. And Hari says something startling. He says, but sir, I see that you are in great bliss. Now that's a cruel thing to say to a cancer patient who is suffering. But what was Sri Ramakrishna's reaction? Indignation? Outrage? No. He burst out laughing and said, oh, the rascal has caught me out. The rascal has caught me out. There is another dimension. It does not mean that the pain is not there. It does not mean that the tumor is not there. It's there, and yet you transcend it. How you do that? You see a reality beyond that. Like the infinite blue sky in which clouds, some of them light and white clouds, fluffy, some of them dark and rain-bearing clouds, with thunder and lightning and hail, they pass through, and the infinite blue sky is not affected. Sorrow and suffering and pleasure and joy and birth and death, they arise in the infinite ocean of consciousness which you are. They arise there. They are revealed by that consciousness which you are. They are experienced by that consciousness. I will not even say your consciousness, you the consciousness. In you they shine, and into you they melt away again. You are completely untouched at one level, at the deepest possible level. That's one way. The other way is what he asked. If I consider myself to be an individual being, I find it difficult to shift to that plane where I am infinite consciousness, in which the body and mind are appearing. I still consider myself to be this being, separate from everything else. Is there no hope for me? Of course there is. Then that infinite existence consciousness bliss is the God of religion, to whom you can pray, you love, and you surrender. I'll repeat again. Vivekananda says, the God is the highest reading of the absolute by the human mind. That infinite existence consciousness bliss, which is your own self, the best conception that you can get of it as a limited being right now is God, the God of religion. And one can pray to such a God, one can surrender to such a God, one can love such a God. It's not a fiction. It's not a fiction. This actually answers the question of the second young man who wrote a letter, Dipan. He said, if I am Brahman, then whom do I pray to? If everything is within me, then whom am I praying to? That's the question. Notice something here. If everything is within me, if I am that infinite existence consciousness bliss, if you really feel that, you would not feel the need to pray also. If you feel the need to pray, you are not feeling that you are this infinite existence consciousness bliss. Right? So if you feel the need to pray, if you feel cut off from God, then pray to God. Love God. Not a fiction. God exists. So you can enjoy God in both ways. I am Brahman, or the Divine Mother, my loving Father, my loving Mother. Swami Vivekananda used to say that always he says, I am Brahman, but only when he has a tummy ache, he says Mother. He says, I say mother when I have a tummy ache.